Congressional Record published Saturday, June 14, 2025. The Senate was not in session on Friday, June 13, 2025. The Senate will reconvene on Monday, June 16 at 4 p.m. After morning business, the Senate plans to vote on a motion to invoke cloture on the nomination of Gary Andrus of Virginia. He is nominated to serve as Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services. No committee meetings or hearings were held on Friday. The House of Representatives convened briefly on Friday morning at 9:30 a.m., with Representative Adrian Smith, a Republican from Nebraska, serving as Speaker pro tempore. Speaker Mike Johnson officially designated Representative Smith to preside for the day. The session opened with a prayer, led by Reverend Margaret Gruen Kibben, who called for steadfast faith and trust in God's provision during uncertain times. The House approved the journal of the previous day's proceedings and recited the Pledge of Allegiance. The House then adjourned at 9:32 a.m. until 11 a.m. on Tuesday, June 17. Despite the short session, several public bills and resolutions were introduced and referred to committees. Representative Darrell Issa, a Republican from California, and Representative Deborah Ross, a Democrat from North Carolina, introduced a bill to amend Title 17 of the United States Code. This legislation aims to reaffirm the importance of works incorporated by reference into law and establish related requirements. It was referred to the Judiciary Committee. Representative Jake Bell, a Republican from Missouri, along with Representative Greg Graves, a Republican from Texas, introduced legislation to prohibit Department of Defense contracts with certain foreign-owned online tutoring services. This bill was sent to the Armed Services Committee. Representative Emanuel Cleaver, a Democrat from Missouri, and Representative Mary Harshbarger, a Republican from Tennessee, introduced a bill to amend the Public Health Service Act. This legislation would authorize grants to support community paramedicine programs in rural areas. The bill was referred to the Energy and Commerce Committee. Representative Alma Moore of North Carolina introduced a bill directing the Federal Aviation Administration to study the readiness of certain airports for high-speed air travel. This measure was sent to the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. Representative Eleanor Norton, a Democrat from the District of Columbia, proposed an amendment to Title IV of the United States Code. Her bill would allow the U.S. flag to be flown at half-staff upon the death of the mayor of the District of Columbia. The Judiciary Committee received this bill. Representative Jim Nunn, a Republican from Iowa, along with Representative Riley from New York, introduced legislation amending Title 18 of the United States Code. This bill seeks to establish criminal penalties for reckless importation or handling of dangerous agricultural pathogens. It was referred to the Judiciary Committee. Finally, Representative David Rouzer, a Republican from North Carolina, and Representative Edwards, a Democrat from North Carolina, introduced a bill to amend Title 18 to create criminal penalties for interfering with commerce by blocking public roads. This bill also went to the Judiciary Committee. In addition to these bills, Representative Steve Womack, a Republican from Arkansas, joined by several colleagues, including Representatives Ryan Zinke and Mike Fallon, introduced House Joint Resolution 101. This joint resolution proposes an amendment to the United States Constitution, granting Congress the power to prohibit physical desecration of the American flag. The resolution was referred to the Judiciary Committee. Representative Michael McCall, a Republican from Texas, along with Representatives Jim McGovern of Massachusetts and Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois, among others, introduced House Resolution 515. This resolution commemorates the 90th birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama on July 6, 2025. It designates that day as a day of compassion and expresses support for human rights, religious freedom, and cultural protection for the Tibetan people. The resolution was referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Several members submitted constitutional authority statements, clarifying the basis for Congress's power to enact various bills. These included Representatives Darrell Issa, Jake Bell, Emanuel Cleaver, Alma Adams Moore of North Carolina, Delegate Eleanor Norton from D.C., Randy Nunn of Iowa, David Rouzer, and Steve Womack. Additional sponsors were added to several public bills and resolutions under House rules. These included Representatives Vern Buchanan, Jake Auchincloss, French Hill of Arkansas, Sanford Johnson of Georgia, Gus Herodopoulos, Andy Tran, Glenn Gray, Veronica Ramirez, Dwight Evans of Pennsylvania, Haley Stansberry, Sidney Kamlager Dove, Jimmy Gomez, Brian Arrington, Abraham Hamada of Arizona, Daniel Miser, Daniel Webster of Florida, Doug Collins, Andre Carson, and Gregory Meek. Updates on discharge petitions showed several members adding their names to petitions 4 and 5 by Representative Gregory Meeks on House Resolutions 391 and 393 respectively. Those signing included Representatives Linda Sanchez, Jesus Garcia of Illinois, Mary Simon, Dwight Evans of Pennsylvania, Gwen Moore, Mike Quigley, Lisa Morrison, Dexter Min, Sharice Davids of Kansas, Haley Stansbury, David Scott of Georgia, Jake Auchincloss, John Garamendi, Hakeem Jeffries, Vicente Gonzalez of Texas, Pramila Jayapal, Matt Magaziner, Jan Schakowsky, Jared Moskowitz, Mark Desaulnier, Kim Schreier, Brian Goldman of New York, Seth Moulton, Andre Carson, Raja Krishnamurthy, Frank Pallone. Several members took time on the floor to honor distinguished community leaders in recognition of Caribbean American Heritage Month. Representative Joseph D. Morell, a Democrat from New York, paid tribute to Jerome H. Underwood of Rochester, New York. Mr. Underwood is CEO of Action for a Better Community and founding member of the Greater Rochester Black Agenda Group. Born in Antigua, he has been an advocate for racial equity and economic justice and served as a mentor and youth soccer coach. Representative Benny G. Thompson, a Democrat from Mississippi, honored Don Hewitt, founder of Advanced Technology Building Solutions in Jackson, Mississippi. Mr. Hewitt has over 2 decades in sustainable urban development, focusing on mixed-use projects with green spaces and affordable housing. He is currently working on an innovative streetscape project in West Jackson that supports local entrepreneurs using artificial intelligence. Representative Morell also recognized Norma Tom from Rochester, originally from Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Tom is a founding member of the Rochester West Indian Festival Organization and had a distinguished career at Eastman Kodak Company before retiring in 2003. Her work has fostered cultural pride within the Caribbean American community. Additionally, Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton introduced legislation allowing the U.S. flag to be flown at half-staff upon the death of the mayor of the District of Columbia. She noted that current law includes governors, but excludes D.C.'s mayor despite similar responsibilities for over 700,000 residents. She highlighted previous legislative successes, recognizing D.C.'s unique status. Representative Morell also honored Marlene Henry of Rochester during Caribbean American Heritage Month. Ms. Henry owns Peppa Pot Catering and is known for her generosity in providing food services for those in need and supporting community events. Representative Dan Newhouse, a Republican from Washington State, honored the crew of the USS Triton submarine and praised the Port of Benton for commissioning a commemorative wall in Richland, Washington. The USS Triton was the first submarine to complete a submerged circumnavigation in 1960 and played an important role during the Cold War. Representative Richard Hudson, a Republican from North Carolina, submitted a personal explanation, noting he was detained at Fort Bragg and missed several votes, but would have voted in favor of all 4 roll call votes held that day. Looking ahead, no committee meetings or hearings are scheduled for either chamber on Monday, June 16th. The House will next meet at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, June 17th, for a pro forma session with no legislative business expected. Several members contributed to extensions of remarks in this issue, including Representatives Richard Hudson of North Carolina, Joseph D. Morell of New York, Dan Newhouse of Washington, Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton from D.C., and Benny G. Thompson of Mississippi. This concludes today's summary of the Congressional Record. Listening. The full source material for this summary is in the description below.